Hello, everyone, and welcome back to NC Sports here at the ncnewsonline.com website and our YouTube channel. I'm Newcastle News sports editor Ron Poniewasz, joined by Newcastle News sports writer Cody W. Pattison, and we are going to talk today about the Union High softball team and its quest for a PIAA Class 1A state championship. And Cody, Union last year won a WPIAL championship, and Doug Fisher had said everything else after the WPIAL championship is gravy. Well, they didn't have a very long run, or as long as a run as they would have wanted to, and he made a pact. He says, we're going to win a state title next year, and they're right there playing for one on Friday morning.
On the bus ride back from last year, he made that pact, and they have delivered on it. It's been a great journey so far for this team, and for Union High School as a whole, really, this whole year for athletics.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so where we sit right now is Union 20-3 will take on Tri-Valley, which is 23-2 at 11 a.m. Friday at Penn State University's Nittany Lion Park. And I tell you what, Union has trailed 5 straight times each of the last 5 games. And I don't think Doug Fisher enjoys that role, playing from behind, but he also says at the same time, I think the kids get a little bit mad and they play even better.
I believe he called it the cardiac kids is what he called them, trailing all that time. But you have to look at it with relationships to also the basketball team. There's 6 players on that team that won that state title this year. They're going to go for number 2 in 1 year. And the whole state playoffs, it seemed like they would trail. And it just seems like a pattern, And then once they reach states, they just blew them out of the water. Do you think that'll happen? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe this is the game that they come out and ready, guns blazing, and take out their opponent right away. But who knows? Who's to say if falling behind isn't the right recipe for this team? And here's another interesting thing. If you followed along with that game in the semifinals, they were dead to rights in that game. They were down 8-5 in the 7th inning, scratched a run across. They were down 8-6 and 2 outs. There's a fly ball to left field. The left fielder is underneath the ball, and she just dropped it. She didn't squeeze her glove, and, so we could be doing whatever else but this right now.
Right. It's funny. It seems like a cliche when you hear it all the time, but they say softball, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And how about what Doug Fisher does by not looking into the other team? You a fan of that?
I think he's right, because he said, if you overcoach it and you veer off from your game plan, the stuff that has been working leading up that led you to the championship game, that might cause issues.
Right. Yeah, he knows what he's doing, or they wouldn't be here, that's for sure. The coach has to push all the right buttons, and they have all the right players to execute what he wants done. And right now, we are going to tell you about their starting lineup, courtesy of Doug Fisher. He provided this for us for the other night for our preview. Batting first is Olivia Williams, second base. Batting second will be Allie Ross, center field. Batting third is Addie Nogue, left field. Batting fourth and pitching is Mia Pruz. Batting fifth, Olivia Benedict, the designated player. Batting sixth and playing first base is Tori May. Batting seventh is Mallory Gorgas, who's the shortstop. Batting eighth and catching is Bella Cameron. And batting ninth is Ella Casalandra, and she plays third base. And also Piper Jendrysik will be in the lineup as well as a right fielder and flex position. They have quite a few good players in this lineup, Cody. All-Stars will be coming out in another month. It looks like they are well loaded with quality up and down that lineup.
1 through 9 in the bats, they work, especially considering 20 of the games out of 23 that they've played. 10 or more runs. 10 or more runs. That is insane.
Yeah, 19 out of 20. Yeah, it is amazing. And Mia Pruz, 13-3 in the circle. Piper Jendrysik owns the other 7 victories. She is 7-0. And Mia Pruz isn't just a one type of player, pitching or hitting. She can hit, and she hits very well. She had a grand slam in one of the state playoff games. Had 17 strikeouts in another. She's on fire. She's just playing very well. She's in a zone. If you don't get to her early, you're not gonna get to Mia Pruz.
She is obviously very dangerous at both, and there's a reason she is the cleanup hitter at that 4 position in the lineup there. And like Doug Fisher told me, she can, produce the runs, and she can mow them down too.
Mm-hmm. How about the rest that Union has? They had one. They'll have one extra day of rest compared to Tri-Valley. Tri-Valley and Glendale were postponed on Monday. Does that factor into things, having one extra day to practice?
I feel like it does. It always does, to have a little bit more, honing and fine-tuning what you need to do. And like Doug Fisher said, he really is just sticking with the practices, that how they've had them, and just the typical kind of lax, chit-chat, build the chemistry and everything like that. But also, with that extra day comes more time to think. So that's always an issue as well.
Yeah. Okay. Any prediction on what you think you might see on Friday, being that you're going to cover the game?
Well, both teams are no slouches when it comes to runs. I might see extra innings. I'm predicting that right now. And I'm predicting also, probably more than likely, a lot of strikeouts from Mia Prus, and possibly the Lady Scots bringing home state gold.
We hope the rain stays away and everybody enjoys the game. And I echo that sentiment, that we're looking forward to seeing Union capture a state championship, which would be a program first. And another thing is, Tri-Valley does have state championship experience. They have experience at this level. Union doesn't. So the first 3 innings are going to be key for both teams. Union cannot fall behind in this game, even though they're used to it. The other team has that experience, and that might be the difference maker in a game like this.
Doug Fisher has 4 seasons, and Marty Shade, Tri-Valley's coach, this is his 32nd season. So that's an experience differential too. But like you said, there's a reason that Doug Fisher has got this team so far this year, and we'll see what happens. The
chess match ought to be interesting by both coaches. He's Cody W. Pattison, and I'm Ron Poniewasz, and that is our Union High State Championship preview. Don't go too far, because we do have one more segment, and we'll do that next.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Hello, everybody. This is Cody W. Pattison, sports reporter for the Newcastle News. And with me is our special guest, Mr. James Dotson, the incomparable James Dotson, who's also a Union High teacher as well. Welcome.
Thank you. James M. Dotson. Since you're going to throw the W out there, I better throw the M in there just to, stay on pat here.
And we will be talking about the Lady Scots and their first trip to the PIAA Class 1A Championship. James, what a journey for this team.
What a journey for this school over this school year. I mean, Cody, you look at the fact you got a WPIAL football championship, the first outright, and the first in 60-some years. First WPIAL basketball championship for the girls, and first state championship appearance for any girls program. And now you got your first state championship for the girls. Now a chance for some of these girls to go and double dip and get 2 in the same year. It's just been an absolutely historic year for the place they call Title Township.
Is it just contagious down there? Is there something in the water? What is it?
Well, you definitely have a good group of athletes that are coming through right now, which has been a big help. But, I mean, softball-wise, let's look at that first. The fact that you got so many great teams across Lawrence County right now. Lawrence County has won 9 out of the last 10 years that there have been a softball championship. A Lawrence County team has won a championship. You got this great competition that just breeds more and more competition. I think that's a big part of it. But obviously, yeah, you have a great talent pool that is currently right there at Union High School for the matter. And I guess you can say the same about basketball too. I mean, you look at what Neshannock's done, Shenango, Mohawk, with their championship runs of late in the girls basketball program specifically. I just think, yeah, that the better competition means that you're going to have to up the ante. And right now, Union is just being able to take it to that one step further, at least this year, getting to these state championships somewhere that the Scotties have never been before.
James, in your opinion, what do you think are the keys that will lead the Lady Scots to gold come tomorrow?
They more than anything, it's going to be about the defense. I mean, defense wins championships. Obviously that's the moniker you hear in any sport. But I think this is going to be very true here. You got two really good pitchers who are out on the mound. Mia Cruz has been absolutely solid this year, like she was last year too. Only a sophomore, but you know what you're going to get out of Mia Cruz. On the other side, a real good pitcher who averages about 13 strikeouts per game coming out of Tri-Valley, and the team has been very impressive. The Bulldogs have allowed no more than one run in any of their postseason games, and a lot of shutouts in the making, a couple of no-hitters, mercy rule no-hitters throughout the playoffs for the Bulldogs. So I think that more than anything is the key, because Union does something that many 1A teams do not do well, and that's they typically put the ball in play, very few strikeouts. For example, look at the leadoff batter, a freshman in Liv Williams. Coming into the state playoffs, she had only 2 strikeouts on the entire season batting. She ended up having 2 in one game against West Branch, but that's all. 4 strikeouts in the entire year. You get a leadoff batter, especially who can put the ball in play, but that's that way top through bottom. You've seen pitchers, the Carmichael's pitcher, the freshman averaging double-digit strikeouts per game. She only had 4 or 5 in that game as well. So I think that's just a big part of it. They put the ball in play, and if you put the ball in play, good things happen. That's how Union got here. They got a couple of big hits, a couple of bounces that went their way, and that's the key. You put the ball in play, make the plays defensively, good things are going to happen.
And you said it right. Union are no slouches when it comes to making runs. 20 games, 10 or more runs. Incredible.
It's because they're a 1 through 9 team, Cody. Everybody in that batting order from 1 to 9 can put the ball in play. And especially when you're playing in 1A softball, if you're putting the ball in play, you have a good chance to get on base, especially when you have some of the wheels of a Liv Williams or an Allie Ross or of a Mallory Gorgas, that you put a ball on the ground, you're probably going to leg it out more often than not. But then you have the power of a Mia Cruz, the power of a Tori May or of a Olivia Benedict, or of what we saw Bella Cameron just pops off the bat every time when she makes contact. So you have that more than anything too, that in 1A softball, if you're putting the ball in play, during the regular season especially, you're probably going to find your way on base, because very few teams have 9 players to work with. And that's just a luxury that Union has, because you could have put Union's second 9 on the field for a lot of these games. And in fact, they did for a lot of their section games, and they still got mercy rule victories in some of them. This is a deep team. And with only 2 seniors on the roster, a team that I think we're going to be talking about for a few more years to come. But the fact that this is such a historic run, I think, is more than anything because of the way that the team has just bought into, you get the ball in play. You're not going to strike out. If you're a Union batter, you're not striking out. You're getting the ball in play.
We kind of alluded to it. The one luxury that Union does not have is experience. Tri-Valley won 2021 against West Green, who Union are no strangers to. Do you think that experience will mess with them at all, or do you think it's not really in their mind state right now?
Let's flash back to football season, where you had Bishop Canterman, a defending champion, and a newcomer in Union, and it was the newcomer that kind of took over. You can see it both ways, obviously. I mean, the Neshannock girls a couple of years ago, when they made it to states the first year, where it was a little overwhelming, then they came back the next year and took care of business. You can see it going either way, but I mean, just look at this Tri-Valley team. 2 years ago, when their pitcher was a sophomore, is when they were the considered underdogs, because they were the newcomers on the block. But they got it done, they got the win. It would not surprise me whatsoever if that's the case. In the end, a field is a field. This is the 25th some odd game of the year for both these teams. There's going to be nerves no matter what. It's a state championship game. I don't think at this point that makes too big of a difference once you're 25 games into a season, because yes, I mean, you can say familiarity with being out at Nittany Lions Softball Park, being out at Beardfield before if you're Tri-Valley, but at the same time, the way a lot of these girls have played in summer leagues, their travel ball leagues, they've played at big venues like this before, so that's no slouch either. And the fact they played at Du Bois, which is a stadium very similar in style to Penn State, with the stadium seating around, so about balls coming more back into play on a foul ball, or just seeing the sight line coming off of the bat if you're an outfielder. They've been used to that, so I don't think the venue or the atmosphere is going to be anything too big for these girls to handle, especially again because a lot of them were right there playing for a state championship 3 months ago at Hershey.
That's right. 6 of them were in fact playing and won that program first. That was Mia Cruz was in the circle, Chloe Confer, Olivia Benedict, Maddie Settle, and Addie Noge as well. And they're no strangers to the big dance, as I like to say. Obviously, James, I mentioned at the beginning that you are a union teacher. You work at Union. Obviously, you probably weren't around a lot because you just had a baby boy. Congratulations. But have you kept your ear about the community and the response of this team going? States?
It's the same response that you've seen literally all school year. Like I was saying, it's been absolutely phenomenal to see a community continually over and over again, come running to the support of their sports teams, especially just when not even when it's obviously it's easy to come to support when you have a team that is being successful, but this is the kind of support that you're seeing. You're seeing big crowds at these games. Whether it was a team that's going and winning championships, or whether it was just a standard Friday night at Sox Russo's. This is a community that always supports their team, through and through. But, the hype is there. The hype has just been growing throughout the course of the year. I mean, started with Coach Needballa. You get a couple of big wins in the football playoffs. You get somewhere that the football team hasn't gone, in decades, and winning a championship for the first time since the 50s. Obviously, you get a big hype. You knew the basketball team, the boys team, was going to be strong for sure. And the girls team, they felt that they left one on the table last year. They were out for blood. But you look at what Coach Fisher has done in his 4 seasons now. They've made it to at least the district championship all 4 years. And their goal that they set at this time last year, when they lost on a no-hitter in the state playoffs, they made the goal right there. Like, look, we're coming back. We're winning districts. We're going further than that, though. We want to go all the way to win a state championship. That was their goal from the beginning, and they've stuck to it. And I think more than anything, too, I mean, you alluded to, pressure of being in this situation before or not. This team is so loose. There's so much just fun to be around. Like, there was an error in that semifinal game that could have, been, really costly, just let up an extra run. And I'll throw Tori May under the bus here because she's the one who made the throwing error. I'll throw her under the bus because about 2 minutes later, I hear as they're talking to the dugout the next inning, guys, can you believe I threw that ball? I threw it over the fence. Can you believe I did that? Not like, oh, I can't believe I did it. No, it's like, can you believe I did that? Oh, whatever. They're right back out there and just they're playing the game. They're having fun doing it. And you can just tell that chemistry and that fun with the girls and with the coaching staff, it is something to behold. And when they're at the top of their game, especially, putting the balls in play, and for me, just throwing strikes because the defense usually has been a great defensive stalwart behind her. It's a fun team to watch top to bottom, especially you have to remind yourself that's 1A softball because the way that they hit especially does not feel like a 1A team.
Mr. Dotson, to the people who can't make the trek out to Penn State, where can they listen to the broadcast?
Well, so the only way that you can catch the broadcast live, video or audio, without paying an exorbitant amount of money for it, is to go to lcsportsnet.com. Lee Moan, Jay Moan are going to be out there at Nittany Lions Softball Park to have the call of that one for lcsportsnet.com. We'll have the audio coverage for it, and Hope Championship. District 11's Tri-Valley Bulldogs and our District 7 Union Scotties trying to get big-time history. They've never been a state championship in Union team history in any sport, and there's a chance they can get 2 in the same calendar year. It's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you again for joining us on this broadcast, and thank you all for listening. I'm Cody Pattison. He's James Dotson, and we'll see you then.
Growing up here was great. As a kid, you always felt safe and secure. Just about the only thing I didn't like growing up were bullies, especially when they picked on somebody smaller. That's why, as an attorney, I decided early on that I was going to fight for those people who couldn't fight for themselves. I could have gone to Pittsburgh and worked for the insurance companies, but to me, that would have been like siding with the bullies. And that's just not who I am. I'm Larry Kelly, and this is where I'm from.
We're back with you here on ncnewsonline.com and our YouTube channel. Ron Poniewasz joined by Cody W. Pattison. And, going into the state playoffs, I think for softball, we probably figured we'd have maybe 2 teams reaching Penn State, and one of them being Neshannock softball team. They got eliminated in the semifinals with a 48-game winning streak. The Lady Lancers are now eliminated from the state playoffs, and they lost 9-6 to Everett. And Cody, Everett, as we saw today, they won the state championship and they finished undefeated. So Everett obviously was no joke. But just what can you put into words on a 48-game winning streak? That's just very impressive.
It's history. It's WPIAL history, first off. Every one of those kids is already a state champion. They're also 2-time WPIAL champions in this run, and of course they came up short, and Everett was the 1 in 48 that we saw, and obviously it was just maybe a little bit of a mental state going into that game that they kind of slipped, but still nothing to cry home about, because they did a fantastic job making history in their own right.
22-1 is what the Lady Lancers will finish with for this season, a WPIAL championship. What everybody believes to be is the WPIAL record for a consecutive win streak, again at 48. And while they end the season with not the greatest of feeling, you know what, I tell you what, when you look back on that and you win 48 in a row, you've done something. You've made a mark, not just in Western Pennsylvania or the district that you play in. You make a mark on your entire state of Pennsylvania in terms of softball.
You really do. It's spread out and even just encapsulated in Western PA. It's funny. I was interviewing Jackie Lash, I believe it was the quarterfinals, a game like that, and she said, hold on, after the talk, she goes, I got to talk to somebody. A man from Pittsburgh habitually follows them, and he goes to watch them because they made that much of an impact that he'll drive to see that team from Lawrence County.
Yeah, and 2 Division I players in Hunter Newman and Erilyn Nogue graduate, and they have another girl that's going to play Division III softball as well. Is Jaden Milicia? Yeah. So they have a lot of talent. Now this year they're going to have to replace a lot because those 3 girls that I mentioned are graduating. Last year they graduated Nalia Nogue, who's at Fordham and just had an incredible season for Fordham. So they're going to have a lot more to replace. However, the good news is, as we know, and as you well know with the story you wrote a couple weeks ago, they have a great junior junior varsity program. A lot of girls on that team. They got a lot of experience this year, so I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, it's funny because it seems like over the last several years, Lawrence County softball has really took off. It's not just Neshannock who has large JV rosters. Union, I believe Mohawk has one, and they did the whole JV tournament because that's how many players are, in Lawrence County, and they need a shot, and you get to see what prospects you have coming up, who can really pull the team forward more and stuff like that.
If you had a question of, well, how good is Everett after beating Laurel 15-12, and then after beating Neshannock 9-6 and beating both of those teams by 3 runs. If you had a question then, you don't have one now after they 10-run ruled their opponent today in the state championship game, 12-1, I believe it was, in 6 innings. So you shouldn't have any question of how good Everett is. It's hard to say that the better team won, but maybe the better team on that day won. Maybe out of 10 games, maybe it's a 5-5 series, maybe it's 7-3 Neshannock, who knows? We'll never know, but at least Everett got the job done, and backed up those 2 wins against the Lawrence County teams. That was very impressive by what Everett did.
All good things must come to an end, but at the same time, with that coming to an end, it gives Neshannock a little time, and Laurel too, to back off and go, okay, this is another issue. This is another real deal. Let's see what we can do to better ourselves. The old iron sharpens iron. Yep.
Good segue too, as I will have a column in Friday's newspaper, Friday's paper for Neshannock, and all good things come to an end, and you hit it right on the head. That's exactly where I'm going with that, and it's just a shame that it couldn't have got to 50 in another championship, and then maybe next year sometime in the regular season they play somebody up in classification and lose that game. But at some point it was going to come to an end. It's just a shame that it came to an end when it did.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is what we have for Neshannock. Congratulations to the Lady Lancers for a great season, 22-1, a WPIAL championship, and a berth in the state semifinals. He's Cody W. Pattison. I'm Ron Poniewasz. Be sure to check out our coverage for the Union State Championship game. We'll see you soon.